I couldn't feel my legs. The folder slipped from my hands and hit the kitchen floor with a sound that seemed too loud for 2 a.m. My daughter had been dead for 6 days. Sarah, my only child, gone at 32 in what the police called a tragic accident at her lakeside cabin, drowned in 3 feet of water while her husband Brett was supposedly asleep upstairs. The medical examiner said she'd had wine in her system, that she must have slipped on the dock, hit her head, fallen in. I hadn't slept since the funeral. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her coffin being lowered into the ground next to her mother's plot. My wife died when Sarah was 10. For 22 years, it had been just the two of us. Now it was just me. I'd come to Sarah's house to pack up her things. Brett said he couldn't face it yet, asked if I'd start without him. He was staying at his brother's place across town. Too many memories, he'd said, his voice breaking on the phone. I see her everywhere in that house, Dad. I'd called him Dad. He'd never done that before. In 5 years of marriage, it had always been Mr. Harrison or Sir. The folder I'd found was tucked behind the false bottom of Sarah's desk drawer. I'd only discovered it because I knew that desk. I'd built it for her 16th birthday, installed the hidden compartment myself to keep her diary safe from prying eyes. She'd been so excited about that secret space. I bent down, picked up the folder with shaking hands. Inside were bank statements, not from the joint account Sarah shared with Brett. These were from an account I'd never seen before, an account in Sarah's name only, opened 8 months ago. The deposits made my breath catch. $30,000, $50,000, $25,000, all marked transfer from B. Morrison. Brett Morrison, her husband. Why was Brett transferring large sums into a secret account Sarah kept from him? Unless she wasn't keeping it from him. Unless she was hiding something from someone else. My phone was still in my hand from earlier. I opened my photos, started taking pictures of every page. Something told me I needed a record. Something told me these papers wouldn't stay in this drawer much longer. Behind the bank statements was a letter. The paper was expensive, cream-colored, Sarah's handwriting, but hurried. Desperate. Dad, it began. My eyes burned. If you're reading this, something's happened to me. I need you to know what I found. I need you to promise me you'll make sure justice happens, because I'm so afraid it won't. I'm so afraid of what Brett will do if he knows I know. The words blurred. I had to wipe my eyes to keep reading. 6 months ago, I found out Brett's been embezzling from his company. Millions of dollars. He's been moving it through offshore accounts, dummy corporations, shell companies. I found the records on his computer when I was looking for our tax files. I didn't mean to snoop, Dad. I swear I didn't. But once I saw the first file, I couldn't stop looking. He's been stealing from Morrison and Klein for 3 years. The firm his father built. The firm his father trusted him to run after he died. Brett's been bleeding it dry. I confronted him. God, I wish I hadn't. He didn't deny it. He just looked at me with these cold eyes and said, "Then I guess you've made a choice, Sarah." I told him I needed time to think, time to figure out what to do. He said I could have a week, 1 week to decide if I was going to destroy our marriage, destroy his career, destroy everything we'd built together. But, Dad, how can I stay quiet? His partners, they're good people. The Klein brothers have families. Employees have pensions tied up in that firm. Brett's stealing their futures. So I started gathering evidence, everything I could find. I made copies, stored them in places he'd never think to look. I opened this account and started transferring money from our joint savings, just in case I needed to run, just in case things got dangerous. Last week, I told Brett I was going to the FBI. He just smiled. He said, "No, you're not." Like he knew something I didn't. I'm scared, Dad. I'm scared of my own husband. I'm scared of what he might do. If something happens to me, look in 3 places. The bank deposit box at First National under my maiden name. The cloud storage account I set up with your birthday as the password. And the cabin. The cabin where we used to go when I was little, where you taught me to fish. I hid a hard drive in the floorboards under my old bed. The one that creaked when I jumped on it. I love you. I'm sorry I got us into this mess. I'm sorry if I'm not there to help you clean it up. Don't trust Brett. Whatever he says, Whatever tears he cries, don't trust him. He's not who we thought he was. Make them pay, Daddy. Please. The last two words were smeared, like she'd been crying when she wrote them. I was crying now, too. Great, heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep in my chest. My daughter had known. She'd known she was in danger, and she'd tried to protect herself, and she'd failed because I hadn't been paying attention. I hadn't seen the signs. Brett's grief at the funeral, his shaking hands as he placed a rose on her coffin, his speech about how much he loved her, how he'd never recover from this loss. All of it a performance. My daughter drowned in 3 feet of water she'd been swimming in since she was 7 years old. Sarah, who'd won junior swim competitions. Sarah, who'd done a triathlon 2 months before she died. They said she slipped, hit her head. But what if someone held her down? I needed to get out of this house. Needed to take this folder and leave before Brett came back. I didn't know when he'd return, when he'd realize Sarah's father had access to places he couldn't control. But first, I needed to check those 3 places. The bank was closed. It was Saturday, nearly 3 a.m. now. The deposit box would have to wait until Monday. The cloud account, though. I pulled out my laptop, opened it on Sarah's kitchen table. My birthday. Month, day, year. I typed it in, hands shaking so badly I had to correct the numbers twice. The account opened. One folder, labeled Evidence. Inside were dozens of files, spreadsheets showing money transfers, screenshots of emails between Brett and someone named Victor Chen, discussing moving the product and cleaning the accounts. PDFs of incorporation documents for companies with addresses in the Cayman Islands, Singapore, Panama, and videos. Sarah had recorded videos. I clicked on the first one. Sarah's face filled the screen, pale and drawn, dark circles under her eyes. This wasn't the vibrant daughter I'd known. This was someone haunted. It's March 15th, she said to the camera. I found another account today. Brett has over $8 million hidden in a bank in Switzerland. $8 million. That's not embezzlement anymore. That's something bigger. I think he's not just stealing from the firm. I think he's involved in something else. Money laundering, maybe. I found emails about product shipments and cargo manifests. But Morrison & Klein is a consulting firm. They don't ship products. They don't have cargo. I'm going to keep digging. I'm going to find out what my husband really does for a living. The video ended. I clicked on the next one. Dated April 2nd. I know what it is now. Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper. Brett's partner, Victor Chen, he's not a business associate. He's a smuggler. Brett's been using the firm to launder money from drug trafficking. The product, in those emails, it's not legal goods. It's narcotics, heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, coming in through the port in containers marked as electronics parts. Brett's company processes the payments, makes everything look legitimate. I found a warehouse address. Tomorrow, I'm going to drive by it. Just to see. Just to confirm. Another video. April 5th. I saw them loading trucks at 2 a.m. Brett was there. He was supervising the whole operation, checking clipboards, directing workers. I took pictures from my car. I'm attaching them to this file. I can't believe this is my life. I can't believe I married a criminal. April 20th. Brett knows I know. I don't know how he found out, but he knows. He came into my office this morning and said, "We need to talk about your midnight drives, Sarah." I played dumb, said I couldn't sleep, liked to go for drives to clear my head. He just smiled and said, "Be careful out there. Lots of dangerous people around at night." It was a threat. I'm sure of it. I'm making copies of everything, storing them everywhere I can think of. I'm going to the FBI next week. I have a meeting scheduled for May 1st. Anonymous tip line first. Then if they take me seriously, I'll go in person. I just need to make it to May 1st. She never made it to May 1st. She died on April 28th, 3 days before her FBI meeting. I sat in that kitchen until the sun came up, watching every video, reading every file. By the time the light started creeping through the windows, I knew everything. I knew about Victor Chen's smuggling operation. I knew about the dirty cops on his payroll. I knew about the Morrison and Klein partners who had no idea their firm was a front. I knew about the threats Brett had made to Sarah in those final weeks, and I knew exactly how to use it. But first, I needed that hard drive from the cabin. The drive to Lake Hartwell took 2 hours. Sarah's cabin was the third property on the North Shore, a small A-frame we'd bought together when she turned 25. She'd loved it there, spent every free weekend hiking the trails, kayaking on the water, reading on the porch. Brett hated it. Too rustic, he always said. Too far from civilization. Now I knew why he'd really hated it. He couldn't control what happened here, couldn't monitor who Sarah talked to, what she found. I parked in the gravel driveway and sat for a moment, staring at the cabin. The police tape was still up, yellow plastic across the front door, more of it cordoning off the dock where they'd found her body. My baby girl, face down in the water she loved. I used my key to get in through the back door. The cabin was exactly as Sarah had left it. Coffee mug still on the kitchen counter, book open on the sofa, jacket hanging by the door. The bedroom was upstairs. I climbed slowly, each step creaking under my weight. I hadn't been up here in years. Sarah always took the master bedroom when we visited together. Gave me the guest room on the main floor because of my bad knee. Her childhood bed was against the far wall. White metal frame, mattress with the faded flower pattern she'd picked out when she was 12. I knelt beside it, pressed on the floorboards until I found the one that creaked. It lifted easily. Underneath, wrapped in a plastic bag, was a portable hard drive. I took it, replaced the board, stood up. Looking for something? My heart stopped. Brett was standing in the doorway. He looked terrible. Unshaven, eyes bloodshot, clothes wrinkled. The grieving widower act in full effect. But his hand was steady as he pulled a gun from his jacket pocket. "I had a feeling you'd come here," he said. "Sarah always told you everything, didn't she? All her little secrets." "The police know I'm here," I lied. Brett laughed. It was an ugly sound. "No, they don't. Your truck's been parked outside Sarah's house all night. Your phone's GPS will show you drove straight here this morning. No stops, no calls." He'd been tracking me, probably since the funeral. "You killed her," I said. My voice didn't shake. I was surprised by that. I didn't want to. Brett's face twisted. "I loved her. I really did. But she was going to destroy everything. The FBI? Jesus. She was going to the FBI. Did she tell you that? Did she tell you she was going to put me in prison? You're a drug smuggler." "I'm a businessman." He stepped into the room. Victor needed a way to clean his money. I provided a service. Nobody got hurt. People are dying from the drugs you help distribute. People make their own choices. He shrugged. Sarah made hers. I gave her chances. So many chances to just let it go, to look the other way. We could have been rich, Dad. I would have cut her in. We could have retired to the Bahamas, lived like royalty. She would never have agreed to that. I know. His voice softened. That's why I loved her. She was good, pure. Too good for someone like me, probably. But I thought I could change. I thought love would be enough. So you drowned her. I made it quick. He said it like he was doing her a favor. Waited until she'd had a few glasses of wine. Met her on the dock. We talked. She told me she was done, that she'd already sent the evidence to the FBI, that they'd be coming for me soon. I asked her for one last kiss goodbye. She was crying. She let me hold her. He paused, swallowed hard. I pushed her head under. She fought for maybe 30 seconds. Then she went still. I pulled her away from the dock, let her float out a few feet, made it look like she'd fallen, hit her head on the corner post. Called 911, did the whole hysterical husband routine. My hand tightened on the hard drive. She didn't send the evidence to the FBI. Brett's face went white. What? She was going to, but she never got the chance. The meeting was scheduled for May 1st. You killed her on April 28th. Then why did she say, to make you panic, to make you think it was already over so you'd confess? And he had. He'd just confessed everything. Brett realized it the same moment I did. His gun hand came up. Give me the hard drive. No. I will shoot you. Don't think I won't. I know you will. I took a step back. But I've already sent copies to the FBI, to the DEA, to the state police, to the media. Everything Sarah found, everything you just told me, it's already out there. It was a bluff. I hadn't sent anything yet, but I needed him to believe it. You're lying. Am I? I pulled out my phone with my free hand. I was live streaming this whole conversation to a private YouTube channel. The link automatically forwarded to law enforcement if I didn't cancel it within the hour. Another bluff. But Brett's hands were shaking now. You can shoot me, I continued, but it won't matter. They're coming for you either way. The only question is whether you want to add my murder to your charges. We stood there, frozen. Old man and the son-in-law who'd killed his daughter. The gun pointed at my chest, the hard drive clutched in my hand. Sirens in the distance. Brett's face crumpled. I loved her. No, I said. You loved what she represented, the respectability, the goodness, the cover story. You never loved her. You can't love someone and then kill them when they become inconvenient. The sirens were getting closer. She was going to ruin me. She was trying to do the right thing. Brett's laugh was bitter. The right thing, that's what got her killed. 2 police cars pulled into the driveway. Lights flashing. I'd been bluffing about the live stream, but I hadn't been bluffing about making copies. Before I left Sarah's house that morning, I'd sent everything to my lawyer with instructions to forward it to the authorities if I didn't check in by noon. It was 11:47 a.m. Brett looked at the gun in his hand. For a moment, I thought he might use it. On me or on himself, I wasn't sure. Then he dropped it, raised his hands. I want a lawyer! The police took him away in handcuffs. The lead detective, a woman named Torres, stayed behind to take my statement. I gave her the hard drive, showed her the letter Sarah had written, told her about the cloud storage account and the bank deposit box. We'll need you to come to the station, she said. Give a full statement. Of course, Mr. Harrison. She hesitated. Your daughter was very brave. What she did, gathering all this evidence, it's going to bring down a major trafficking operation. Victor Chen, his whole network. Because of her. Because Brett killed her before she could finish it. But you finished it for her. I looked out at the lake. The water was calm, reflecting the afternoon sun. Sarah had loved this view. She was my daughter, I said. Of course I finished it. The trial took 8 months. Brett pleaded not guilty, claimed Sarah's death was an accident, said the business with Victor Chen was something he'd been investigating himself, planning to report. His lawyers were expensive and aggressive, but the evidence was overwhelming. The videos Sarah made, the financial records, the testimony from Morrison, and Klein employees who'd noticed irregularities, the warehouse workers who agreed to testify in exchange for immunity, and the recording. I'd lied to Brett about the live stream, but I hadn't lied about recording our conversation. I'd turned on my phone's voice recorder the moment I heard him in the doorway. Every word, his confession, his description of how he'd killed Sarah, all of it documented. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. First-degree murder, money laundering, conspiracy to distribute narcotics, obstruction of justice. The judge sentenced him to life without parole. Victor Chen got 25 years as part of his plea deal. The dirty cops lost their badges and their freedom. Morrison and Klein shuttered its doors, the partners settling lawsuits for years. I was there for all of it. Every hearing, every testimony, every verdict. Sarah couldn't be there to see justice done, so I was there for both of us. The hardest part came after. When the trials ended and the news cameras went away, and I went back to my empty house where pictures of Sarah covered every wall. Sarah as a baby. Sarah on her first day of school. Sarah graduating college. Sarah on her wedding day, smiling in her white dress, holding Brett's arm. I took down that last photo, stored it in the attic with all the other things I couldn't bear to look at anymore. Some nights, I dream about that moment in the cabin. Brett, in the doorway, gun in his hand, asking if I was looking for something. In the dreams, I don't have the hard drive. I don't have proof. He shoots me and walks away, and Sarah's death remains an accident, and justice never happens. I wake up, gasping, reaching for my phone to check the news, to confirm that yes, Brett Morrison is in prison. Yes, they convicted him. Yes, Sarah's death meant something. Other nights, I dream about Sarah. She's 7 years old again, learning to fish off the dock at the cabin. She's squealing with delight as she reels in her first catch, a tiny bluegill that we throw back because it's too small to keep. "We'll catch a bigger one next time, Dad," she says. Next time. There was no next time. There would never be a next time. But I'd done what she asked. I'd made them pay. I'd found her evidence, and I'd made sure the world knew what Brett Morrison really was. Not the charming businessman. Not the devoted husband. A murderer and a criminal who'd killed his wife to protect his secrets. I visit Sarah's grave every Sunday. Bring fresh flowers, usually daisies because they were her favorite. Tell her about my week, about the garden I'm planting, about her cousin's kids who are growing up so fast. Tell her that I'm sorry. Sorry I wasn't there when she needed me. Sorry I didn't see the danger. Sorry I let her marry a monster. But mostly, I tell her that I'm proud. Proud that she stood up for what was right, even when it was dangerous. Proud that she gathered evidence even when she was terrified. Proud that she trusted me to finish what she started. "You were so brave, baby girl," I whisper to the headstone. "So much braver than I ever was." The wind rustles through the trees above her grave. Sometimes I like to think it's her, telling me it's okay, telling me she knows I tried my best. I'm 73 now. The arthritis in my hands is getting worse. My doctor says I should slow down, take it easy, maybe think about assisted living in a few years. But I'm not done yet. I started a foundation in Sarah's name. It helps victims of domestic violence get legal representation, helps people gather evidence safely when they suspect financial crimes, provides resources for those trying to escape dangerous situations. Every year, we hold a gala. Raise money, tell Sarah's story, remind people that one person's courage can change everything. Last year, we helped 47 people escape abusive relationships. We provided evidence that led to 12 fraud convictions. We saved lives. Sarah saved those lives. Even in death, she's still protecting people. That's her legacy. Not the tragedy of how she died, but the impact of what she lived for. Sometimes people ask me how I keep going, how I get up every morning knowing my daughter is gone, how I smile and laugh and pretend that life is worth living when the person who made it worth living isn't here anymore. I tell them the truth. I keep going because Sarah asked me to. In that letter, in those videos, in the evidence she so carefully compiled, she asked me to make them pay. She asked me to finish her fight, and I did. But more than that, I keep going because Sarah would want me to. She wouldn't want me to give up. She wouldn't want me to let grief consume me the way it consumed Brett's crimes consumed his conscience. She'd want me to plant my garden, to help her foundation grow, to tell her story so that other daughters, other wives, other people in danger know that they're not alone, that someone will fight for them, that justice is possible. On the really hard days, when the grief feels like it's crushing my chest, and I can't breathe and I can't see the point of any of it, I go back to the cabin, stand on that dock where she died, look out at the water, and I remember teaching her to swim in that lake. Remember her laughter echoing across the water. Remember the time she caught a fish so big she could barely hold it, her face glowing with pride. Remember the good parts. The love, the joy, the light she brought to every room she entered. Brett took her life, but he didn't take her impact. He didn't take her legacy. He didn't take the difference she made in this world. That belongs to her. That belongs to us. To everyone who knew her and loved her and fights every day to make sure her death meant something. I'm an old man now. Won't be around much longer. Heart's not what it used to be. But when my time comes, I'll go knowing I kept my promise. I made them pay, Sarah. I made them all pay. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. For you. Always for you.